Welcome to Town Hall Talks, where we talk to state and city leaders so you can get to know what's going on in your communities better.
Today, we are joined by Congressman Steve Womack, who represents the 3rd District. Thank you so much for joining us.
Man, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I'm sitting between two beautiful, wonderfully talented people and talking to constituents of mine. That's great.
Thank you so much.
It's an honor to be here with you. You've represented the 3rd District in Congress since 2012, but before serving in Congress, served as mayor of Rogers. So you've seen quite a bit of growth here in our area. Can you talk about that?
Best job I ever had.
Oh, yeah.
It really was. And I think people viewing this program could understand that as complicated as things are in Washington, D.C., where it's hard to get things done because you've got so many different type A personalities trying to do things, being a mayor was one that you could conceive of an idea in the morning and then be on the road to completion that afternoon. I mean, you could just make things happen. But the being a mayor, particularly here, helped me understand the growth patterns of Northwest Arkansas. And so here's what both of you need to know and what your viewers need to know. For forever, back in the day, Northwest Arkansas was identified as kind of the Fayetteville area because Washington County, Fayetteville specifically, land-grant university, that's where everything was happening. But the growth percentages in Benton County and Washington County were different. Both were growing, but Benton County was growing at a clip almost twice as fast as Washington County. Now Benton County trailed in population in the aggregate amount, but you don't have to be too sharp in logic to figure out if one's growing faster than the other, it will eventually pass that. And that happened in 2003, Benton County surpassed Washington County in total population, and now it's not even close. So being a mayor, it helped me understand these growth percentages and gave me informed me of just what we needed to be doing in order to keep up with that growth. And that's what led to the explosion up there in the Rogers-Benton area.
A lot of changes. I mean, you remember when I-49, that wasn't even here. The interstate, you
We
remember
drove
that?
71.
Yes.
71.
Just like this the whole way up.
There are people watching this program right now that moved here maybe in the last 10 or 15 years and think they have a good handle on everything up here. Just imagine no I-49 and all that traffic on 71.
I remember. Well, let's talk a little bit about the potential challenges and opportunities that have come along with all of this growth. It's changed everything.
Okay, so the obvious one is infrastructure. And the most obvious infrastructure is roads and bridges. How do you move people? And you don't have to sit out here on I-49 in the morning and look at the northbound lanes, or during your 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock news and look at the southbound lanes to understand we have a challenge up here in moving people. It's really, really hard. So we've got to continue to develop that transportation infrastructure so that we can get people moving. And that means as this area continues to grow, and we already got 6 lanes on 49, we're going to have to find some alternative routes. It's just part of the evolution of the area. And that's going to challenge us. What's hidden, and a lot of people fail to recognize this, but wastewater, particularly in infrastructure, is going to be important. The amount of money it's going to take to treat what we put into our system here. We got a great water supply, but you got to treat this effluent that's going into our streams that flow, some into the White River Beaver Water District Basin, but a lot of Northwest Arkansas drains to the Illinois, which goes into Oklahoma, and we are committed to a standard set by Oklahoma, which is hard to achieve on nutrient loading. So my concern is that if we don't continue to do the things necessary to meet those standards, we could have what we know as a total maximum daily load, a TMDL, on nutrient loading. That could really put the brakes on growth in Northwest Arkansas. So those are the infrastructure issues, and then things that create the demand, like Alice Walton's Heartland Whole Health Institute, is going to transform healthcare as we know it in Northwest Arkansas, that's going to create a lot of transportation infrastructure issues. And we're working on those kinds of things. It's important to get out ahead of them and to be doing this planning in advance so that you can lessen the hardship when people move here and get stuck in this traffic. Those are some of the issues. We have many more, but those are the ones that are obvious.
Well, I know here locally they're working on that, and then in D.C. you are as well. You're on the House Appropriations Committee, where you recently helped to secure a bill providing more than $108 million in community project funding. Can you talk about what that will do for our community?
Well, first of all, let's let everybody know that's the old earmark program, and we re-engineered the earmark program because it was abused. So it's fully transparent, and it has to come from the local areas, bubble up from the local areas. It's not just like members of Congress, handing out money. So we poll all of our leaders, county judges and mayors and chamber officials and others that are involved in economic development, and we just ask, what are the things that you need? And so that's how we approach our community project funding. So in this past bill, $108 million scattered over different titles, mainly in transportation, because that's the bill that I write. And we direct that money toward things that go exactly to what we were just talking about.
Right.
So 59 million of that 108 went to the Springdale Northern Bypass that will take 612. Right now it goes west of 49 and soon will be all the way down to Tawnytown. But we don't have anything going east. Right. So 59 million would take 612 from 49 around to 265, and then RDOT will have a plan to move it from 265 on down to Sonora and complete that northern bypass. So that's the lion's share of that money, but we've also got money for 112. Remember, we were talking about an alternative to 49? Well, that's going to be Highway 112. It's already an alternative, but it's 2 lanes, and people are getting stuck on it. So between Fayetteville and Bentonville. So transportation is part of that. We've got a lot of water system needs that we try to help people with. We have some public safety needs, fire, police, and the like. So we dedicate ourselves to making sure that if there is going to be money in the bill, and there is, to fund local projects, I want to make sure that we're addressing the emerging needs of the greater 3rd District of Arkansas, all the way from the Missouri line down to the city of Fort Smith and beyond.
Yeah, which is growing every day. Well, let's talk a little bit about 2 government shutdowns we've seen recently, lasting over 40 days in the past year. What impact does that have on the consumers, and what's being done to sort of maybe prevent another one?
Well, first of all, let's as a people, let's ask ourselves, we shut the government down for 43 days, and now we've got DHS down for even longer. We reopened it, didn't we? But what did we get? Nothing. So we shut it down for silly reasons, very selfish and silly reasons. I don't believe in government shutdowns. Government's designed to work. The last thing you want to do is be shutting it down, because it costs money to shut it down, it costs money to reopen it, and if you don't get anything for it, then you have to ask yourself, why did we even do that? We have some very, very difficult challenges with what I refer to as thin majorities. A 1 or 2 seat majority in the House and a 3-seat majority in the Senate. That's what Republicans have right now, which makes getting anything passed, including appropriations, very, very difficult, because the margins are so thin. Every single member is a powerful member. We need their vote. And so they're going to try to extract something out of it. And it typically doesn't work. So government shutdowns end, and usually they end by just reopening the thing, and you really don't have anything to show for the expense involved. But I don't believe in them. I think there ought to be a law, and I've tried legislation that would say we're not going to shut the government down. We will automatically have a continuing resolution if the appropriators and the budget folks can't get their act together. There ought to be a mechanism in place that prevents a shutdown and continues to fund the government, albeit at a reasonable, maybe current level. So Budget process reform is near and dear to my heart. We could spend a whole hour on it because I think redoing the 1974 Budget Act is probably the best solution to the challenge of government shutdowns.
Yeah.
And another thing that you're very involved in DC is you're the subcommittee chairman for the Appropriations Committee. So you oversee
On transportation and housing.
Yes, and so you oversee those departments that you just mentioned. So what are some of the top priorities that y'all have this year?
Well, transportation is a chronic issue nationwide, and particularly in Northwest Arkansas. We've already talked about that. So the transportation side of my bill, we have to supplement what we get from our gas taxes and the Highway Trust Fund. We have to supplement that fund with other general fund money in order to meet the emerging transportation needs. And we're not just talking about, roads and bridges. I've got all modes of transportation. So aviation is a big piece of it. Passenger air, general aviation, waterways, very important in my district. We've got a port of the Port of Van Buren that's about to take shape. So inland waterways is a big piece of it. So I've got all modes of transportation, and I got a limited amount of money. So we just try to prioritize the things that are most important. And I believe that we've got to find a solution to deferring our maintenance because it just gets more and more expensive, and these roads are beginning to show a lot of wear and tear. So that's one. And on the housing side, my short-term goal is not to put anybody out on the street. Be able to fund it at a level where their rent subsidies and the like, Section 8 vouchers, those kinds of things are somewhat protected as we continue to find ways to reduce the impact on the tremendous cost of housing, which is chronic all around us and, of course, right here.
Absolutely. And when we talk about, housing here in Northwest Arkansas with so much growth, some of the issue has been people finding affordable housing. Is that a top priority? What does that discussion look like?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's all relative to land prices.
Mm.
Land prices, particularly in the Rogers, Bentonville, Springdale, Fayetteville area, have just escalated. And you look at Bentonville, it's just incredible what's happened over there in that particular bubble. Land prices have forced developers to try to squeeze as much, as many people as they can into what limited space that they have because of what they can afford. And that's why you're seeing everything going vertical. And because of the increased cost of land and the increased cost of building houses and the impact that is being created on local communities, and now they're putting impact fees on it, it's becoming out of reach for a lot of particularly first-time home buyers to be able to invest in a home. And so that's why you're seeing so many rental units now that are being built all around us. The multifamily housing market has just exploded in Northwest Arkansas because that's really what people can afford. And so if the rent structure for like a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment facility, like 1,100, 1,200 square feet is $1,500 to $2,000, which is not uncommon for this new stuff.
Correct.
Man, that's twice as much as you'd be paying for a mortgage back when I was, buying a home for the first time. So I'm very concerned about what's happening in our housing, and I think it's a shared responsibility. Federal government has a role, albeit limited, but I think the local communities also have a role in it, and we've got to just put our best minds together to try to figure out how do we make the American dream affordable for young people that are just starting out like we did once upon a time.
Yeah. Well, another big issue that a lot of people address with affordability is gas and food prices as well. Is there anything y'all are doing to kind of maybe help with this?
Well, gas prices are a global commodity, and it follows a global marketplace. So anything that happens internationally, like the conflict in Iran, is all automatically going to have an impact. We saw gas prices back during that exercise, that conflict, in excess of $100, $110 a barrel. And then, of course, there was a 2-week pause, back in the early stage of April that brought the gas prices back down. By the time this interview airs, we're not real sure where they're going to be. But look, I think the sweet spot on gas is somewhere in that $2.50 range. and we saw gas prices in excess of $4. Well, every additional, 40 or 50 cents or $1 a gallon that's going to be going into your gas tank, because we have to get where we're going without a lot of public transportation, is $1 that is not going to go to feed somebody or to pay a mortgage and those kinds of things. So gas prices are a key figure in the everyday personal budget of local people. And it's, like I say, I think that I'd love to see gas prices back down around $2 a gallon, thereabouts, make it affordable. But it's a challenge for us. And internationally, when there's a hiccup somewhere around the world, militarily, where particularly in the Southwest Asia area, where a lot of these a lot of this oil production is, it creates a major disease for the rest of the world.
Absolutely. Hey, we could sit here and probably talk to you all day, but thank you so much for coming and joining us and answering our questions. It was great to have you here.
Great to be with you. As always, we appreciate what Channel 5 does in our area, and I'm very impressed with your facilities. The first time I've been in them. So thank you, and appreciate everything that you guys do.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for being
much.
here.
All right, we'll see you next time on Town Hall Talks.